I now have the privilege of introducing Fernanda Zimmerman, today's speaker on mindfulness. And I was very fortunate to be able to hear Fernanda speak when we were able to just sneak in our Christchurch Members' Day in February this year. Fernanda is trained in mindfulness-based stress reduction and has a degree in psychology from her home country, Brazil. In addition, she has completed a PhD in health psychology at the University of Otago. In her published research studies, she has developed a psychological to provide emotional support for people with advanced cancer, and this intervention includes mindfulness. I would now like to hand you over to Fernanda. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Leslie. Can everyone hear me? Yeah. Oh, good. Okay. I'll share my screen with you, but well, I could say a little bit about me. Leslie said already everything. Thanks for the nice introduction. It's been about 7 years now that I'm living in New Zealand with my partner, and now I have a baby. I came to study the PhD here. It was a really nice experience and very rewarding as well. So we decided to stay in New Zealand, and yeah, and since then I've been working giving this mindfulness program for the Cancer Society, for some groups in the Cancer Society, and some other research groups within the university as well. And now I'm in this break, parenting, I'd say, looking after the baby. Okay, so I'll share with you a little bit about what's mindfulness so you can have an idea. We will practice a little bit of it as well. And then I'll share with you some of my PhD results, the experience, how it was. And in the end, we will practice a little bit more of mindfulness meditation for about 20 minutes. So I'll let you know, I'll guide you through it. Okay, so I'll just share the screen. Windows. Here we are. So can anyone say if you can see my screen? Can you see the screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so that's how it was called, my PhD, the research, Coping with Cancer Mindfully. So just before we start, everyone take a deep breath. It will be good for me too. So what is mindfulness? I would ask you, if we were all in person, if you have any idea. I know it's more broad nowadays than before. So mindfulness, it is a kind of a type of meditation designed to cultivate the ability to be in the present moment. But it's not that simple, because it has to be in an accepting and non-judgmental way. So we may think, oh, okay, I can be in the present moment, right? But and then whatever you think about this moment, let's say if I'm having chemotherapy at this moment, and then you think about it and you may think, oh, this is so uncomfortable, or it's been not a very nice experience. So this is already a judgment. So you're not mindful about it. You are aware, you are in the present moment, but you are judging the moment. So in mindfulness, we don't judge. It is what it is. So in this case, it would be, okay, right here, right now, I'm having chemotherapy, and this is what it's doing to my body, and that's how it is working. So we focus on what it is, and we try not to judge. Okay, please let me know if anyone would like to ask any question. Just say something and I can stop. Okay, so if you can see these images, is this familiar to you? For example, when we are at work, we are tired sometimes and we think about our bed. I wish I was sleeping now. And then when we are finally at home and in our bed, we are thinking about work, right? So it means that we are not actually in the present moment because our minds are somewhere else. So I would like to ask you, where are you now? So I wonder, I see that you are here listening to this, and you might be present, but is your body present? If you are sitting on a chair now looking at this screen, so your body is present. Is your mind, maybe you are thinking about something in the past or in the future, what you're going to have to do, your to-do list, or something that is missing that you forgot to do yesterday. So sometimes we are present only with our bodies, but our mind may be in the past or in the future. So that's very common to happen to all of us. So, can we avoid worries? For example, if you probably have had a very good friend who would say something like, just don't think about it. Let's do something else, right? When you're facing something difficult. So, especially, let's say, the diagnosis of cancer, of advanced cancer. So, this is it's a lot to take, right? And a very good friend would come and say, just don't think about it. We will figure it out later. Treatment and all of the overwhelming information you may have. It's not possible, actually, right? Because suppression doesn't really work. The more you think like, okay, let's think about something else, it will stay in the back of your mind. So with mindfulness, we don't ignore or try not to look at the thoughts. We we look at them in a non-judgmental and accepting way, because it's known that actually suppression doesn't work. So when you think about, okay, I'm not going to think about it, it means you are suppressing your feelings, and it doesn't really work. So what we say in mindfulness, you acknowledge the thought and leave it alone. All right, so we are not ignoring anything, you are acknowledging it. I like this image of the clouds in the sky, because usually when you cannot forget about something, it keeps bothering you. Let's say treatment next week, because it's going to be really difficult, it's uncomfortable. It is what it is, right? So you take this thought of you receiving treatment, let's say, of when you were receiving the diagnosis from your doctor, and then you put this thought in a cloud. You imagine that, right? That you are putting this thought in a cloud. And when you look at the sky and the clouds are moving, they are just going away. So you imagine that thought going away. You are leaving it alone, but it's there, right? You cannot completely avoid it. And we are not doing that. You are acknowledging that. So you can say to yourself, okay, this is a thought of me having chemotherapy next week, or this is a thought of when I was receiving the diagnosis, a very difficult experience. But it is what it is, right? It's just a thought. On this moment, when we are talking, for example, this is just a thought. It's not happening right now. It's happened in the past, or it's something that will happen in the future. But right here, right now, everything is okay. We are just thinking about those things. So you can use this kind of tool. You imagine you are putting the thought in the clouds and it's going away. And then let's see if we can be mindful, right? Let's do a quick exercise. So I'd ask you, I think I'll stop sharing just for a second and then we'll come back to it. So I hope you can see me now. So I'll ask you to take a cup of tea or water, whatever you have for eating, maybe, or drinking around you. So I have this bottle of water here. If you don't have anything, we'll use your hands. You just look at your hands, okay? Can anyone just confirm that you can see me and it's all good now that I stopped sharing the screen?
Yes, it's all good.
Yeah, we can see you.
Thank you.
Hear you. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so here is what we are going to do. So take whatever you have. If you have a cup of tea or a cup of water, if you want a minute to go for it, just go for it now. That's not a problem. It's just a minute. Um, and we will experience drinking this mindfully. So we will be drinking it in the present moment. And if you don't have anything, you will look at your hands mindfully. Okay. So now we are going to use our five senses. So first, let's just use our visual sense. Let's just look at it. Okay. If you have your water or cup of tea, just take it and look at it. Just observe it. Look at the shapes. If you're doing it with your hands, you can just look at your hands and try not to judge it. Okay. Like, oh, I need to do my nails or something like that. Or, oh, it's a bit dry. Or I need some moisturizer. These are all judgments. So just observe it. Okay. Observe your hands or your bottle of water, whatever you have. Just keep looking at it. Now, smell it. Okay, smell the water, which we're probably not going to smell anything, but maybe there is a smell in the glass or the cup of tea. Just smell it. If it's your hands, smell your hands. Now, try to listen to it. So, if you have a cup of water or tea, maybe you can shake it a little bit, or like the bottle I have, just listen to it. Or if you are doing it with your hands, make some movements and try to listen to it. Listen to your hands' movements or whatever you're drinking. Okay, now we are going to drink it. So for the ones who are using your hands, you can't do anything. You can, if you have your hands cleaned, you can touch on your lips if you want to, like that, and just observe the feeling of it, of maybe your finger just touching your lips. And for the ones who are drinking something, just drink it and taste it. Swallow it slowly. The others, you can touch your hands in different ways. Check the temperature, maybe. You can do that with a cup of water or tea. Check the temperature as well. So we have touched, we tasted, we have looked at it, we smelled it as well. So we are using all these senses, which is part of mindfulness. So we use what we have to experience something in the present moment, right? So I'll share with you my screen again. Here we are. Okay. So we have just used the five senses trying to be mindful. So what we were doing was being mindful. So that's what works. So through mindfulness practice, you can become more aware of your patterns of thoughts. For example, oh, I always think this way. Let's say when I drink water, I always think it's too cold, or I never liked the taste of water, right? So you have a pattern of thoughts that you realize when you're practicing mindfulness. You also become more aware of your emotions, how you react to things, how emotional you may feel or may not. Your actions, you are more aware of the way you act in your life. And at the same time, you are learning new ways of coping. For example, if you know how you react to something, let's say some people say too much and they wish they wouldn't have said too much on the heat of the moment, right? So if you know that, because you are more aware of it now, because you are mindful, you have new ways to cope with that, right? So next time, now that I'm aware, I'll try not to say too much, right? It's not that easy, but it requires practice. And mindfulness exercises are believed to increase the quality of the moment. So I hope that now this very quick exercise we've done with the cup of tea or your hands or the water, if it was tasting better than it usually tastes, or the experience of looking at your hands, how was that for you, right? How did you feel? Did you notice that you were judging, maybe, or maybe not? Maybe you were very in the present moment, just observing and not judging anything. Same for the cup of tea or coffee or water. We can talk more about it later by the end of it for the questions, okay? So, do you know yourself? This is a question I ask you guys. You can ask yourself. Because if you do, if you know yourself, you can learn how to influence your own welfare, right? Training your breathing, for example, we will do that later, and focusing on the present moment. So, how do you do that? You just observe. Observe how this activity influence your physical and emotional state of mind. So some people, when we do these exercises, usually when I'm with a group in presence, I give them something to eat, usually raisins or a cranberry or something like that. So they usually report that it was tastier, or they didn't know that raisins could do that noise when you squeeze it a little bit, things like that that you didn't realize before. But when you are present and just observing it, you realize all of those things. So this is important. Why? Because you are the only person who lived with yourself since you were born. So nobody knows you better than you do, right? So all the experiences you've been through in your life, you've been through it. Only you know yourself better than anyone, right? Usually mothers used to say, my mom used to say that to me, oh, I know you. And I'm, now that I'm more mindful and I've been trained, I'm like, no, actually, you don't know me more than I do, because I do know myself very well now. So that's a nice thing to experience, right? Learning about ourselves so we can have more coping strategies for when we are facing difficult situations. So let's see what our mind wonders. Okay, so now just one more exercise. For the next 1 minute, let's allow your mind to do whatever it likes. You just notice what happens. Okay, so I will mark here on my phone 1 minute. Let me just a second here. I will put a timer for 1 minute and I'll let you know when it's finished. Okay, and then I'll ask you for now, during this 1 minute, to just close your eyes, be comfortable in your chair, and just let your mind do whatever it likes. Okay, starting now. 1 minute. 20 seconds left. Okay, and that was 1 minute. So I'll stop sharing my screen again for a second and ask you guys just, yeah, we can be more interactive. I'd like to check with you. No, I'll share my screen again because I want you to see the next, sorry about that, the next slide here. Here we are. So I would like to ask you, where did you go? Where your mind went? Were you here, or were you in the future or in the past, thinking about tomorrow or yesterday? So if anyone would like to share what happened during this 1 minute, if you think it was too quick or it went too slow. Some people think, oh my God, it was so slow. I thought it was past like 5 minutes instead of one. So how was that for you? Anyone would like to share?
I can share if you can hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you.
I was thinking about what I want to do today versus what I need to do today.
Okay. Oh, how interesting. And yes. So did you decide something, or you were just exploring these ideas?
I think I'll do what I want to do rather than what I need to do.
So it was a quite an important 1 minute, right, for you?
Probably, yes.
Okay, all right. So you were thinking about the future, right? If you're going to do something that you want today, it's for the future. It's for
Yes.
today. It didn't happen yet. Okay, all right. Yeah. Anyone else thinking about maybe the future or the past, remembering something, or focused on the moment? Someone here, Lou? Can I approve, or will someone approve Lou to speak? I could see a hand rising. No, it's not there anymore.
I think we had a comment from Tanya, who in the comments in the chat, and she said, I watched the swirling images and colours beneath my eyelids. She was in the now.
Okay, I just saw it. Thank you for that. Yes. Watched. Oh, that's lovely. Okay. Beneath the eyelids. All right. So yes, that's about being in the present moment. That's really nice. Yeah. Thank you for that, Tanya, for sharing. I don't see any other comments. Okay, so that this is, can you have just an idea, right, or of what I mean to be in the present moment? It's very common that our minds wander everywhere. We call it monkey mind in mindfulness, that it's being everywhere a little bit. I have to do this or that, or you remember something you've done yesterday and you wish you have done differently. So it's very common. But what we are trying to do is to be in the present moment, because we can handle things better according to research if we are in the present moment. So I'll share with you my screen again. Okay, so some of you were in the present moment, some were thinking about the future, maybe some were thinking about the past. So why might mindfulness be helpful when dealing with cancer, right? That was what I wanted to study, and I found out it was helpful, but I wanted to know why by myself. So what I discovered in the literature, let's say, is that it can assist people in dealing with the stress, pain, the disease symptoms, and treatment side effects as well. So it assists people in facing the reality of sickness, which is a new reality, right? It's difficult when we are facing something new because we usually don't know how to deal with something that is completely new to us, right? And people also become more resilient and accepting of their situation, and develop a sense of meaning and balance as they face the difficulties of the illness. So when I'm saying, well, the literature says accepting of their situation, it's not in a sense of giving up or resignation. It's more in a sense of acknowledge, right? So the accept word is a bit funny. It can have different meanings, right? But in mindfulness, it means acknowledging. Okay. So when we need help, for example, right? When I don't know what to do, and there are many situations that it could happen for any of us. So sometimes all we can do is to breathe, right? Maybe if you remember anything in your past, any experience that you really didn't know what to do, you can think about it now. Anything that happened in your life that for a second you really didn't know what to do. I've heard from other people experiences of accidents, for example, or when they were helping someone and they didn't know how to help, but they wanted to. So sometimes in any kind of situation, we can breathe. And I say any kind because I've been working as well with a group of people with breathlessness conditions, lung cancer, and it was very difficult for them to breathe. And with mindfulness, because we focus on the breathing as well, because it lowers the levels of anxiety. So breathing also helps the ones who has difficulties in breathing. So it's really not a problem. So sometimes when we don't know how to help or what can we do, just breathe, because it is actually something that you're choosing to do. Of course, we do breathe naturally, but if you are aware or focusing on that, you are making a choice, right? So I'll tell you very briefly a little bit about my research. So I developed a mindfulness program and I called it Coping with Cancer Mindfully. And it was based in mindfulness based interventions and my work experience in the past. I've worked as a volunteer psychologist in a hospice in England, in Cambridge. It was called Arthur Rank Hospice. And I discovered that for many people in the hospice, not only the patients, but the family members as well and friends, they were getting some benefits from mindfulness while they were there experiencing all of that. So I wanted to do was providing emotional support to people with advanced cancer and some adaptation to their current reality. That's because when I was working, I noticed that people were too anxious when they've got the diagnosis, let's say, of some people here terminal cancer. And I really don't like this word because I've met so many people with advanced cancer who are living with this incurable cancer for so many years. One of my participants from my research was diagnosed with terminal cancer when she was pregnant of her daughter, who is 20 years now. So she was said that there was nothing they could do. Her cancer was advanced, and she still had the incurable cancer 20 years after. Her daughter was born and is healthy and fine, and everything is okay. Of course, she faced difficulties, but it was okay. I've seen other people who are living with incurable cancer for 9 years, 11 years, 7 and 8 years as well. So the word terminal, I really don't like it, but I know it's called, well, in the literature it's called terminal as well. So I wanted to be able to help people to adapt to this different reality. So I developed 4 audio sessions. So they were all based in mindfulness. I say audio because it's like a tape, you can just listen to them, right? And practice. Because I wanted something that it's not too invasive, something that people don't have to make too much effort to go for it. For example, yoga, which is great, but you have to be fit or be able, when after you have chemo, we don't really feel super fit and wanting to exercise, right? So I wanted something that it's not invasive. So that's why the audio session. So it's mindfulness, acceptance, and meaning in life. I thought it was important to include meaning in life as well. According to the literature, there is a lot saying when we face with our finitude, we think about the meaning in our lives, right? Why me? For example, I heard too many times this question, why me? And so I thought it was important to reflect about what was meaningful in our lives for these people. So I'll tell you a little bit about the results. So the majority of participants experienced changes in thoughts and actions. So after they had the intervention, I was practicing with them. So I was seeing them once a week for 6 weeks. They practiced the mindfulness for 1 month, this intervention that we will practice in a few minutes. So they practiced for a month, and that's what they reported in the interview after the intervention, so that they were more aware of the present moment. They decided to make time for family because family, they found it was meaningful for them, but they didn't realize that before. So they were too worried about choosing the right treatment or looking for alternatives. And then they stopped for practicing the intervention and decided to make time for family. Many thought for the first time about things that were important, and they never thought about it before. So one of my participants would say that he really liked chickens, and he would love to have chickens in his house to grow chickens, and he never thought about it before, so he decided to go for it. It's a simple thing, right? Some people was mentioned as more people were mentioned as more important than things. So when they were reflecting about all of it, they thought people are more important than things. So some would tell me they would like to work less and focus on the people they love, and offering time to be with them and things like that. So family was also often cited as meaningful. When I would ask them in the interview what was meaningful in their lives, many people said family. And simple things in life was considered fulfilling and meaningful as well, and that give them joy, such as gardening, playing golf, cooking, being around good people, and traveling. So those are all the simple things that people were reporting, telling me. So I'll share with you just two quotes. So this is from Carla. Of course, it's not their real name. Is everything okay? Anyone wanted to say something? I heard something. I hope everything is all right. Okay, I'll just continue. So Carla said, I was told that acupuncture would be helpful, but I'm afraid of needles. I cannot go for it. That was before we had the mindfulness intervention. And then after, she said, the acceptance one was the best one for me. I went to an acupuncture session. Can you believe that? She said 22 needles were put into me. The breathing was brilliant. Just take my mind completely away from what they were putting into my arms, needles. So after practicing mindfulness, she was able to go to acupuncture, and that was huge for her because she wanted to try it. And it was really helpful, and she could control that only with her breathing. And then Tony said before the intervention, he said, expressing how I feel, I'm not good at. I just want to get rid of this anger. He was feeling anger. And then after the intervention, he said, big things that happened to me in the past that I cannot do anything about, I have learned they really are gone now. I accepted it. I was getting angry about the health system, but I cannot change the system. That guy that did not find my cancer early enough, the poor doctor was just doing his best. This mindfulness has taught me how to handle things, not just cancer. In fact, the cancer is not a problem to me now. What will be, will be. I think I have got rid of the anger. Sorry, I really feel emotional because I remember each one of the participants, and it was huge for them. It was beautiful to see. It looks sad, I know, when I tell people that I work with people with advanced cancer. Anyone would think it's really sad, but it's actually just intense and emotional and beautiful, in my opinion. So the results from qualitative and quantitative research combined, so most of the participants, they have a change of perspectives derived from a state of vulnerability, which brought positive outcomes. So they would say they felt vulnerable since they've got the diagnosis of advanced cancer. And that vulnerability connected them to other people, and it brought to them positive outcomes. Also, a path of facing unwanted thoughts with awareness and acceptance stance. Some took actions based on what was meaningful in their lives. So these unwanted thoughts would be, I don't want to go for treatment, but I have to, right? So they were facing those things with an acceptance stance, and it was easier, they would say. And also, frustrations and adversities kept happening, right? It happens to all of us, as distress is part of life, but the way that people cope with stress can be modified. So that's what we change practicing mindfulness. We cannot avoid stress coming to our lives, it will happen all the time, but we cope with that differently. So let's try it, right? So let's try it I'll stop sharing the screen again just to check with you if everything is all right. So I would ask you just to be comfortable in your chair. How long? We still have time. Okay. So I'll guide you through a guided mindfulness meditation. So what I've done, I took a little bit of each of the 4 sessions I have gave to these participants in a month, and I'm giving it to you. I'll guide you through it for 20 minutes just to give you an idea of how it was. And yeah, and then we can talk a little bit about it, and that will be it. Okay, I'll do it in 15 minutes, I guess. I'll try. So is everything okay? Everybody is still listening to me, and can anyone just
Yeah.
confirm?
We can
Yes.
hear you. We can hear you well, Fernanda. Thank
Oh,
you.
thank you. Okay, so just make yourself comfortable. You don't need to be looking at the screen now. I'll just guide you through with my voice, and you just have to listen to it, and I'll let you know when it's finished, okay? So just make yourself comfortable and take a nice deep breath. Gently and slowly close your eyes. You will be guided to relax your mind and your body and focus on the present moment. So once you feel comfortable, take another nice deep breath. Pay attention on your breathing. So just listen to it. Inhale, counting 1, 2, 3, 4, and now exhale. 2, 3, 4. Again, deeply inhale. 2, 3, 4, and exhale. 2, 3, 4. Now just listen to the air coming in and out. So mindfulness exercises are believed to increase the quality of the moment. Through mindfulness practices, you can become more aware of your patterns of ways of coping. So for the next 15 minutes, it's your time to be with yourself. I will let you know in advance when you are coming to the end of these 15 minutes. You don't need to try to get anywhere when you practice this technique. You only need to really be where you already are and realize it. Make it real. So again, listen to the air coming in and out. Inhale. 2, 3, 4, and exhale. 2, 3, 4. Don't worry if your mind goes to somewhere else. It's okay. Just bring it back to your breath on each time you notice that your attention has wandered off. Again, deeply inhale. 2, 3, 4, and exhale. Keep breathing normally. It doesn't have to be deep now. So if you know yourself, you can learn how to influence your own well-being, training your breathing and focusing on the present moment. Observe how this activity influences your physical and emotional state of mind. You just observe it, your state of mind. Inhale and exhale. If you'd like, you can place your hands on your stomach now and feel the movements going up and down. So when you inhale, you feel your stomach, your hands going up, and then when you exhale, it's going down. Again, inhale and exhale. So if you are experiencing discomfort of or pain of any kind, just let your attention go to the region of greatest intensity. So try to imagine or feel the in-breath penetrating into the tissue until it's completely absorbed, and imagine the out-breath as a channel, allowing the region to discharge to the outside whatever pain and disease it's willing to or capable of surrendering. So inhale. Imagine it's penetrating in the tissue, absorbed, and then imagine the out breath as a channel when you exhale. Outside any pain and disease. Inhale from your nose, neck, shoulders, arms, hands, pelvis, legs, feet and toes, and then exhale. And relax. So each time you scan your body, like you're doing now, thinking about when you're inhaling from your nose, neck, shoulders, you're scanning your body. So you are letting what will flow out, right? So you are not trying to force either letting go or purification to happen, which of course it's impossible anyway. So letting go is really an act of acceptance of your situation. So it's not a surrender to your fears about it. It is seeing yourself larger than your problems and your pain, let's say, larger than your illness, larger than your body, and identifying with the totality of your being. Inhale and exhale. Now ask yourself, am I fully awake? Am I here now? Ask yourself silently in your mind, how does my body feel right now? How is my breathing? It might be faster, it might be slower than before. As long as you are aware, you can be mindful. All it takes is wanting to and remembering to bring your attention into the present moment. So, mindfulness, what you are practicing now, is seeing and knowing that you are seeing. It is hearing and knowing that you are hearing. It's touching and knowing that you are touching. It means moment to moment awareness of the experience. Inhale and exhale. Now remember something that was very valuable for you, some important and nice moment in your life. Just remember that. How fulfilling can this moment be right now as you're thinking about it? How was this memory? Did you enjoy that moment? So those memories were not painful memories. They were good memories from you having a fulfilling moment in your life. How precious is that? So keep breathing. Inhale and then think, accept, and exhale and think, let go. Again, inhale, accept, and exhale. Let go. What kind of emotion did you feel when you were remembering those moments? Just think about it. What kind of emotion did you feel? Was it okay to feel those emotions? So emotions, they can be good. You have just experienced them. There is no reason to be afraid of your feelings. You learn from them. As a human being, we experience emotions. Sometimes they are good, sometimes they are not okay. They are just okay. They're not so good. And that's okay. They are just feelings, just a thought that you can observe and acknowledge. You can lead your thoughts. You can always choose what to think. You just have to notice that, like you're doing right now, just breathing, for example. If you can hear any noise from outside, that's okay. Just hear it and let it pass by. And now you continue to listen to your breath. Inhale and exhale. Cortella, a Brazilian philosopher, once said, "Life is too short to be small." He meant you are important. When you have a relationship with another, it is as if they carry part of you inside, they incorporate part of you. It means you are imported and important and will be remembered. You are not just centered, living a life in yourself only. You share your life with others, your feelings and yourself flow into others. You communicate with other people. Then life is not small, it can be short but important. You are meaningful because you are unique. There is no one else like you. And that's how you live in others, because you share what you are with others. So you are living forever in others' hearts, in their behavior, in their way of being. While someone misses you, it means you exist. You are remembered, pointed out. Someone is thinking of you or talking about you. So, are you what you want to be and remembered? Take a moment to think. What do you want to be? Think about it. Or how do you want it to be? Or who do you want to be? So, what about making the best of the situation that you are in, giving while you don't have better conditions to do better? Right? So, do your best in the conditions you have on the present moment, while you don't have better conditions to do even better. Okay, so I invite you to be who you want to be and do your best in the situation you are at the moment. Inhale and exhale. So we are about to finish this session. It's nearly 15 minutes. Just take these last few seconds to congratulate yourself that you were able to do this practice, that you have taken this precious time to invest in your emotional health. Deeply inhale and exhale. Still with your eyes closed, gently move and feel your toes and fingers. Inhale and exhale, and then stretch your arms and legs just as you were waking up. Now gently open your eyes, keep breathing normally, and slowly you can open your eyes as this is the end of this 15 minutes session. When you're ready, you can come back to the screen. I'll share my screen with you again. So here we are. We just practiced the mindfulness, and I'd like to ask you, next time when you go walk the dog, for example, if you can notice if you are mindful, right? Because sometimes we can walk, not necessarily walking the dog, but just go for a walk, and your head, in your mind, you have lots of thoughts, right? And you're not really looking at the sun, the trees, or whatever is happening outside where you are. So there is a difference of being mindful, with your mind full, and mindful, right? That's our practice right now, what we have practiced. So thank you. Be mindful today. And I'm open to questions, and you can find me. I have this website. You could also download if you want to. I have the first session, the complete session of my PhD, which is about coping strategies, mindful coping skills. It's called the session 1, and you can download it from my webpage and listen to it on your phone or any device you have. You can listen to it before going to bed. It's like 20 minutes audio session of mindfulness. And you can also find all kinds of audios about mindfulness online in YouTube. I like this Palo's mindfulness. It's free. Also, there are free meditations from mindfulness at this franticworld.com, other websites. You can find it as well. If you'd like, I don't know if it's possible, you can take a picture of your screen or do a screenshot so you have all the links there. Or I'm happy, I could ask Leslie, like last time, to email all of us the link with the session 1 if you want to. We can do that as well. Thank you. So I'm here open for questions. Anyone? I can see the meeting chat as well. I can see Tanya said this was awesome. Thank you. Thank you for practicing. I'm glad you liked.
Well, it doesn't look like we've got any questions.
Okay.
So, coming from a very relaxed place of being present, I'd like to thank you so much, Fernanda, for your time and for a really informative presentation and for providing us with some great tips to put into practice. We greatly appreciate your knowledge and your time and for what you've given us all today. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, as Leslie. Thanks you all for your time, for being open to it. Yeah, thank you. I can see now some more comments saying Stephanie, saying she will practice. Just need to make time to practice. I say don't be too harsh on yourself about making the time. You know, I remember when I was being trained and studying my PhD as well, I wouldn't have the time because I wanted to have a period of my time that I would sit quietly and meditate. And it never happens because we all have lots of things to do, right? So I would do that before I go to bed or even in bed already. So you can do that as well. When you are in bed, that you've done everything you could for the day, you could practice lying down on your bed. You could listen to it if you need a guidance, or you can do it without listening to it to anything. Just guide yourself through. So don't worry too much about making the time. Just whenever you go to sleep, some people may fall asleep as well because it happens as well when you practice. So it if you cannot be paying attention or aware, and if you fall asleep, this is not a bad thing. It means that you could relax actually, and it's okay too.
Well, thank you so much.
All right.
So I'd now like to just quickly conclude today's session with a quote from a Vietnamese monk called Thich Nhat Hanh, and also he was a great promoter of mindfulness practices. I'm sure many of you have heard of him. This is what he's written.
Mm-hmm.
People usually consider walking on water or in thin air a miracle. But I think the real miracle is not to walk either on water or in thin air, but to walk on earth. Every day we are engaged in a miracle which we don't even recognize: a blue sky, white clouds, green leaves, and the black or blue curious eyes of a child. And our own two eyes are miracles. All is a miracle. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.